Hello guys, I want to introduce you to my YouTube channel Ethi-Karl. Here I intend to communicate accurate information on animal rights and climate change, both subjects that are very controversial. And also these subjects seem quite different, but you will see later they're quite linked. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Carl. I'm a French Canadian living in Norway, and I have a bachelor's degree in engineering, a master's degree in earth science, and I'm doing a PhD in climate science at the University of Bergen. I want to mention that this channel is totally independent of my work as a researcher though. So I have been concerned about the destruction of the biosphere and climate change for a very long time, reading about it in popular science magazines as a kid. And now climate change is very present in the media, with most people being aware of it and agreeing it is a pressing issue. There is a huge problem, and I think most people and organizations can't keep pretending all is good. We can't keep putting our heads in the sand. And already most people in the world have already been affected by extreme events. As for the future, most people know it will get worse. According to a study published in Science, under current climate policy, newborns across the globe will on average face 7 times more scorching heat waves during their lives than their grandparents. In addition, they will on average live through 2.6 times more droughts, 2.8 times as many river floods, almost 3 times as many crop failures, and twice the number of wildfires as people born 60 years ago. The consequences of children suffering unprecedented sequences of climate extremes over the course of their lives can now be attributed to the inaction of today's adults. But as you might know, the response to this issue has been way below what is needed. There are many ways that we can stop heating the planet, destroying ecosystems and annihilating species. People know that green energies are part of the solution, but one option is often put under the rug. It's stopping to eat animals. If you look at these figures, you can understand why. Okay, so this figure comes from Our World in Data, and it's called How Much Carbon Could We Sequester with Dietary Change? So you have to the left in green 2 diets, so the vegan diet and the Eat Lancet diet with reduced meat, and it shows how much carbon would be sequestered by 2050 if everybody ate those diets. Then in the middle and in red you have the carbon budget left from 2020 for 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius rise in temperature. And the values you have in these bars represent a 50% chance of keeping the temperatures below these temperatures. And then finally to the right you have in gray is how many years at the current rate of emissions it would take to reach the carbon budgets. So this figure shows that if everybody in the world ate a vegan diet today, by 2050 we could sequester 547 billion tons of CO2. This is because present-day pasture lands and croplands used to feed the animals we raise exist in area of both native forests and grasslands. If these lands could return to their natural state over the years, the plant biomass would increase and accumulate this carbon. The amount of carbon that would be sequestered is actually larger than the whole carbon budget we have to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius. This would give us an additional 16 years to reach net zero emissions from fossil fuels. The values I just gave do not even include the carbon that would be stored in the soils, and the non-CO2 greenhouse gases such as nitrous oxide and methane. So the benefits shown in this graph are very conservative and would likely be much larger. So if you want to avoid a climate that will cause hundreds of millions of climate refugees, massive economic destruction, and noticeable increase in mortality rates, a shift away from meat and dairy is necessary. Apart from the climate, there is ample research showing that eating animal products is negative for the health. For example, it is widely known that meat and eggs is linked with heart disease because they both contain saturated fats and cholesterol. But despite knowing this, the people I meet aren't sure it's possible to be healthy and vegan. Well, in response to this, I can say that the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics of the US and the British Dietetics Association both state that these diets are appropriate for all stages of life, including pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, older adulthood, and athletes. but I don't want to go deeper into that subject for now. So far I haven't talked about the animals that are exploited and killed, but that is the true motivation behind veganism. When you accept that eating animal products is not necessary for a healthy life, then how can you justify raising animals in horrible conditions and killing them at a very young age? At the moment, there is no justification beside tradition and taste pleasure. And taste pleasure is questionable. Me and all the vegans I meet don't think we are missing on anything. Vegan food is as delicious as the food I used to eat. So then, next point is, why am I doing this? It's because I realize that people, even really educated people, don't know much about animal agriculture. They don't know much about veganism. I spend much time at work with professors, researchers, and PhDs that work on climate, but they really don't know much about veganism and animal ag. The fact that you are a professional in one field doesn't necessarily mean that you're well informed in another field. This is made worse by disinformation campaigns. For example, the animal ag industry funds many studies that show what they want to show. For example, it's been known for decades that eggs are bad for health, since they contain very high amounts of cholesterol. But the egg industry funded studies that went viral in the media, and I was myself duped by the studies, and I ate up to 2 dozen eggs per week, probably injuring my health in the process. My point is that if you're not informed, it's difficult to make the right choices. So my goal with this channel is to inform people and not just pull out things out of my ass, but back it up with quality research. I also intend to do many types of videos in this channel, so I would like to show how easy and delicious it can be when switching to a vegan lifestyle. And I also love talking to people, so I'll be sure to do interviews and street outreach videos. And I also intend to do sketches that explain ideas with some humor. Okay, thanks for listening so far. I want to end this video with a great quote I heard recently. They say because we are human and speak the same, we matter more. Is there pain and suffering any greater or lesser than that of animals? Human versus animal rights is as much as a prejudice as black versus white or the Nazis versus the Jews, an affront to our freedom.